Okay, we're going to start rebuilding this Tillotson carb from the Ski Whiz Massy Ferguson 300S L295 JLO engine. Tillotson carb. Got the rebuild kit here from eBay. There's from the parts list section for HR54A is the name of the carb. That is written on the carb right there. HR54A. We're going to start taking this thing apart. First thing I'm doing is taking out these screws. So this little screw here has a spring on it. It's also got a washer right there, and it had a little O-ring. The O-ring on one side is concave as opposed to square, and the concave side was down. So this little screw was 2.5 turns out. So again, this little screw had a spring, then a washer, then a rubber disc, and the concave side of the rubber disc was in. So also worth mentioning about this carb, I think when I took it off the machine, which had been parked for 43 years in the bush, the choke was totally seized up and the throttle was totally seized up. No movement whatsoever. I soaked it in a mixture of gasoline with a bit of two-stroke oil, a bunch of penetrating oil. The throttle started to show a bit of movement, tiny bit of movement after like 3 days, and I could free it up, and the choke started to show a bit of movement after 4 days, and I could free it up. Alright, so I took the 6 little screws out here, bolts on the gas line side of the carb, and they all each have a little washer, and they're all the same length. Okay, actually I'm taking out this little screw in the middle here first. It was on really tight, so I put a couple more in to hold it down, but got it loose, no problem. Okay, now I can take this little plastic thing in where the fuel line attaches. And below that is a little screen here. It's like a gas filter of sorts. Okay, now we can take this outer plate off, and notice underneath it these little filters and such, whatever they are, have little holes to guide where they go, but they also line up here, so you know how to put them on. You can see this looks almost like a piece of screen with a couple little tabs here. Yeah. So here's that little plate I took off, and then this is the underside. You can see a hole here where you can see the screen through the hole. A couple of other little holes here. So there's looks like a rubber gasket here of sorts. Actually, the pieces lift out of there no problem. So there's the little gasket. Rubber gasket was to the outside. Then the screen was next. And alright, now we're carefully going to try and lift out these various pieces here. So here's the first piece. It's like a piece of screening, almost, a piece of nylon. I'm keeping things organized over here, hopefully. Next we have, it was almost like paper. It was almost like paper, but it's probably rubber or something. I don't know yet what comes in my rebuild kit, so I'm trying not to break anything. Okay, that's the next piece. So now we have the next piece. Instead of its little tab being over here, like the other pieces, its little tab is to the top here. Take that off. Nothing on it of interest. Now we have another little screen here. Notice again this tab here has also got that up there, unlike the other ones. So there's actually two of them here. There's the outside piece first, then another one of these sort of paper, I don't know what they are, rubber stuff is next. So now just gently pry this off, just a sec. So notice this one has the little bulge at the top here, but now it's also got this right angle thing. Stuck to the bottom of it is this valve or pump thing. We'll get it off. So this little plate had the thing below it kind of attached to it. I just took a sharp chisel and very gently went between the two to get it away. So that one's next. Then this thing, notice that this side is toward the gas line side of the carb. It had this thing on the bottom. Doesn't appear torn. It's not all really hard, but presumably the kit comes with a new one. Alright, now we're down to the needle and also to the Welsh plugs here. So before I start ripping into the Welsh plugs, I'll take this needle off, but before I start ripping into the Welsh plugs, I want to see what is in that kit. So took off that screw, no problem. Here's the little thing, and it's got this little pin thing loose inside it, and you can see, there's the little spring that was underneath it. So don't want to lose that. Actually, the little needle in there was indeed loose. And the rubber tip on it seems nice and rubbery. So here's all our stuff laid out from the, I guess one's a mix, one's an idle, maybe. Fuel line in, the outermost plate, various little diaphragms and what have you. There's the diaphragm coming finally to the needle assembly here. So here's the little notice that came in the kit. Mixture screw, original packing replacement. The original packing material for mixture screws are obsolete and no longer available. It is being replaced by an O-ring. Install mixture screws through packing nut and roll O-ring down mixture screw, pass threads into the cavity side of nut, then assemble. I'm assuming the nut is the carb body. The O-ring's a little tight, going over threads, but will work fine. So we'll be the judge of that. So the kit also came with the ARTS H series part list section, blow up of carbs, and there's information on how the carb, various parts of the carb, and the service manual, and that's it. And it's just copied from this document I could get online, Tillotson HR series. So it looks like this first one here is the high-speed idle mixture screw, or sorry, the high-speed mixture screw, and this is the idle mixture screw, I believe. Yeah, you can see on the carb that the mixture screws are actually labeled. This one here has got an H beside it, or sorry, this one over here has got an L beside it over here, and this one here has got that H beside it right there. So here was one bag of parts for the kit. Needle, that hex thing, that the needle seat. This thing here, clear to me what that is. We got to take the hex thing out of the carb to have a look at what's underneath it. And there's the little thing that moves the needle up and down. There's the little needle, and there's a couple of what look like copper washers. Oh, and there's also the little spring. And there's another little bag, came with the screen, the start of the carb, where the gas comes in. What looks like a kind of a rubber washer, a little copper washer, a couple of O-rings there, and what looked like the 2 Welsh plugs, and this little thing, which is almost like a Welsh plug, but it's got a hole in it. That is a mystery to me. Here's other stuff in the kit. One of these fiberglassy type things. This paper rubberized stuff, a nice soft new diaphragm, another fiberglassy thing. Another layer. This one here is not represented in our original carb. It's got 3 cork O-rings, not sure what they're for, and then a bunch of gaskets, 3 of them. These go between the engine and the carb. So we're going to take out this little hex nut here, see what's underneath it. I don't know if it's a 5/16 socket fits on it nicely. Not too much wiggle, so I don't know if it's supposed to be 5/16, but it appears it'll work no problem. So that little hex nut came out no problem with the 5/16, and underneath it looks like there's a copper washer. We're going to see if we can pick that out, see if there's anything underneath that. Yep, underneath that little hex thing, there was this little copper washer, and it came out, it's loose in there. Don't see anything underneath that though. So, just looking at this carburetor here, this is the throttle side, throttle plate right there. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a hole, there's a round hole, you know, about, what, an inch down. But then there's another little hole that sits right under the furthest away edge of the throttle plate from here. You can see that little hole there. I wonder if someone punched that through the carburetor. It's not, it doesn't look machined. It looks ragged. I wonder if someone, when they did this Welsh plug on this side, if they poked that hole through, don't know. And then this Welsh plug on this side, it looks like, I don't know if you can see down in there, there's sort of a Venturi type thing. It looks like there's a jet, like a brass thing there. You can see that maybe below this Welsh plug here. I blew through various passages with carb cleaner. Anyway, that hole there, no, I don't like the looks of that. It's not supposed to be there, I don't think. This side here, the air intake side, it's got this old beat up screen on it. These nuts seem to be, or these bolts seem to be very tight. So I was wondering if I could get away without taking that off at all. Doesn't look like there's anything there much except for the chokes underneath it. So I think I'll leave well enough alone there, but a bit concerned about that hole. Wondering what you guys think, if that's going to be problematic. Well, I was looking at the instructions, and they don't recommend doing the Welsh plugs because they rarely get screwed up. I can hear I can hear the little check valve inside there. It's moving freely, plus I can blow out the passages. Seems alright. So I think I'll try putting it back together without changing anything there. See how it works. Also, this gasket here this is in the kit. This gasket here was not in the carb, which is over there. So I will be putting it where it belongs. I assume whoever rebuilt the carb last time for some reason did not put in that gasket, which is supposed to be there.